Mama here goes back to church. I'm an Episcopalian. I go to church every Sunday. Pretty devout. I actually don't like talking about religion, but I do very much love my church. This is St. Thomas's Episcopal Church in New Windsor. It was built in 1848. First Gothic-style church based on an English church that was built here in the United States since the Revolutionary War. Very gorgeous, very old, has lots of problems. So not only are we, struggling like all other churches post-COVID, not allowed to have services for a long time, things like that, but we are also attempting to fix our historic church building best that we can with the materials we got and the resources we have, which is not a lot. This long hose here is so we can actually drain the water out from the basement. What happened back in the 40s, 9W was built just after World War II, and that caused more runoff to come straight through, underwater stream through the church. All across here used to be a giant manor that belonged to the people who actually founded this building. And there was a cutoff on the other side of it, not a cutoff, but like a culvert that pushed the water out towards the Hudson. But when that manor was sold off back in the late 70s, early 80s, I forget which, these condominiums were built. And when they were built, the people who were building it were like, oh, we don't need this culvert here, so they actually cut it off, which actually caused water to backlog back underneath the foundation of the church. So there is a basement to the church. It's really just a dugout pit to run ventilation and things like that. And today we're going to try to pump out the full basement full of water. I'll show you a picture of that in a second. You saw the depth of the water. It's like gallons and gallons of water because you saw how big the church is. The basement very much comes from like here all the way through. It's like a graveyard of pumps down there. This was always an issue since the road was built and the thing was cut off. Every spring, winter melt, basement would flood. Any heavy storms, it would flood. There was one point where it got up to like this step right here. Very bad situation. And that's one of stone's weaknesses, is water. So, brand new pump, probably only cost $200 to get all the little bits and pieces to go with it too. We currently have it plugged in inside because this is our initial pumping, and we're going to find a more permanent electric solution for it. But this hose is actually a hose my hubby found while walking the dog. Somebody was throwing out his boating hose. So we have this hose here, very long, and the thing is when we used to pump this, we'd actually have the hose going up and over this hump, and there's a culvert in that hump that's supposed to bring everything back that way. But what was actually happening was we'd pump it back there, and it would just right back into the church. So now I have my garbage hose. A little jack of jerry rigging here. Use a vacuum cleaner tube, and this was actually donated by my brother-in-law. He's a fireman, and these were actually reject hoses. They didn't pass inspection, so they were going to be thrown out anyways. So cut the end off for one, so that way we can connect it together. We're going to find a more permanent solution because we are getting a little bit of leakage, but if anything, it's not going to be a lot, and it's actually going to water this very big pine tree. So then, what we're doing is instead of putting it in the culvert that's behind the church, is we're actually sending it forward towards this road, which is Old Route 9W. And we're sending it to this culvert up here. Now, it did backlog a little bit that way, but the majority of the water is actually flowing down this way, which is where we want it to go, because Hudson River is actually over that way. The gradient of the hill goes down this way, and when they redid the overpass behind the church, they did heighten it, so now all the runoff goes this way. They deepened the culvert way at the end of the corner of the property there. It was 10 feet at one point. I was afraid I was going to drop my car in it. So all this water is going to go out that way, which is nice. Some of it is going up this way, but that's okay. That just means it's going to go down the highway that way, and it's all going to work out. This is very exciting. This is the first time we've been able to get hoses long enough to get it come out this far. And this pump, I think it's a rigid. I don't remember. But it is doing amazingly well. It already got the water down about a foot, and it's only been about 20 minutes or so. At least that. So, meanwhile, we're just inspecting and securing the property right now. We do have other projects coming along for their church. I just walked through the puddle. One of which is security cameras, because we've had people attempting to break in. We've had people break into our parish hall before, using our parking lot for unsavory purposes. We had one time a group of people shooting off fireworks in our parking lot. We do allow some of the people across the street in those condos to use our lot for parking, but they actually come talk to us. But anybody else, they're not authorized, because this parking lot is actually private property. So, next big project is going to be setting up security cameras. Bye! So yeah, we're still at the church. We have an electric line now being run and nailed to the molding, so we can actually power our oil furnace. Yay. And of course, New York State messed up when they rebuilt this bridge. They have it draining only to about there, and it's like sandbagged off, or they didn't dig out the rest of the culvert, at least until, you know, where it actually starts up again. This whole ditch is missing. So what's actually happening is the water from the bridge, from the hills, everything is coming straight down here, pouring to here, and then pouring straight into our property, which is illegal. You can't be flooding out somebody else's property. And you can tell because look how lush this greenery is. It's so soft over there, and that used to be dry as bone. Meanwhile, if you look down on the other side, you're like, yeah, it's lush, it's springtime, but it's nowhere near as bright as green as it was over there. Okay, so all the water is running from the highway again, which we thought was a fixed problem, and going right into our basement again.
It's gone down. All right, look.
Yeah,
it's gone down 1.5 feet already.
Oh, good.
It's going down quick, so
yeah.
it'll be empty by the time we leave.
That's true. So, because it's been an ongoing problem, we do have a sump pump graveyard that I need to clean up now. I don't know how many pumps have died down there, but we haven't ever built. It's been doing an amazing job, but we have a lot of shit to take out. So while the hubby's finishing up the electric inside, getting the furnace hooked up and the lights redone, this is leftover from us attempting to clean up last year. Then COVID happened. And I told you we had a graveyard of some pumps. It's probably been about an hour since I last did a video. These shits, excuse me, these pieces keep flying off the electric lines and into our property, and I don't know what to do with them. Those are all our tarps from when we had to repair the chimney, which you can't see from here. There it is. You can sort of see it. It's that black mass right there. But we had to recap and tar that up because, not that tree. No, no, no. The tree that used to be in that hole was lifted up by a wind burst that we had. There's always motorcycles going by. But essentially it was a mini tornado. Lifted the tree up right out of the ground, and it fell down, knocked down the cross at the top, you know, did a little bit of the roof damage there, but really dug into our fireplace. Not fireplace, chimney. It's a sealed off fireplace anyways. It's not being used. But it was like our Archangel Gabriel was like, not today, tree. He wasn't damaged. We just have a couple spots that do have to be filled, tarred, and there's a shed here that actually probably has slate tiles for us to use to replace these, because it was made of this essentially the same materials. It's just completely collapsed because the wood rotted out. We haven't been in that shed in like 2 decades. I would not be surprised if there's a dead body in there. I'm kind of scared to go in there. But it's also all like poison sumac and stuff, so getting to it would be not my job. But yeah, found all our tarps, found all our ladders, found all these pumps, and we're just trying to take care of, essentially our spiritual home and, national landmark. It's a very old church, and it deserves love. It deserves to have people worshiping inside. And the sad things is religion is dying, or people don't hold it in high regard anymore, and it's not 100% their fault. They have misconceptions about religion, which, I'll have an opinion video later at some point. By the way, our church is air conditioned, haha, when the electric's running. But religion is really not being held in high regard. A lot of people are experiencing spirituality. They're like, why do I need a priest, blah, blah, blah. And I get it. I totally get it, because we haven't had a priest in 3 years, but we're still worshiping. Because you don't necessarily need a priest. You do need some guidance. Somebody who has been trained in reading the Bible and things like that. But more important is the theology, not the dogma. Just remember that. And religion's really not there for you when things are good and happy and everything like that. It's supposed to be there for you when you've reached your deepest lows. And that's why I'm still here. I've reached so many lows in the past 10 years. And every single time, this place has brought me peace. As much as a headache and heartache it is trying to run it, this place has brought me so much peace. Just sitting inside. That says something.